Transactional analysis is a psychology of everyday interactions. And it's a wonderful subject that each one of us must explore to understand ourselves, the relationships that we are in, the kind of challenges that we have, and so much more. It's a very simple tool, yet very comprehensive, deeply researched, and it's now got a legacy of more than 70 years. It's a simple tool to understand ourselves and all aspects of our interaction with others. Now, I would encourage you, if you haven't already explored, to buy a book like TA Today, or you could pick up something like I Am Okay, You're Okay. These are very fundamental books that you can read. Now, TA Today, the one that I showed you, has been written by Ian Stewart and Van Jones. And if you want to pick up the I Am Okay, You Are Okay, that's been written by Thomas Harris. These are wonderful books that will give you all fundamentals. I'm going to talk to you over the next several weeks and maybe a couple of months about some of the most critical concepts of transactional analysis in ways that you can understand and apply in your everyday life. In today's video, let's get a little bit of an introduction for ourselves to transactional analysis through a few themes. The first theme that I want to explore with you is, why do our conversations go wrong even when we mean well? At least most of the times we mean well. Yes, we have our emotions, thoughts, and so many other things playing into it. But why do conversations go wrong is a question that you and I would have asked at several points in time. The answer to that is fairly simple. And according to transactional analysis, we talk from our voice which is coming from deep inside us. And that voice which is deep inside us is coming from either our ego states or some script or some of the processes that are running inside us. And this is what TA helps us understand. The same way, when the other person hears this voice, they are also hearing it from a very different place. Just like we have voices inside us, they also have voices inside them. And that mismatch that could happen, because there's a whole set of combinations where we come from and where others hear us from, that mismatch could end up creating conflicts, hurt, even a silence. And in fact, that silence that gets created is far worse than violence at times. Transactional analysis explains these hidden patterns in communications. And then from there, you can understand hidden patterns of behaviors, hidden patterns of relationships, hidden patterns of outcomes that we get. Fundamentally, it helps us make our life, our relationships, our ways of working, our ways of interaction, the way we are and the way we are becoming much better. Now, let's take two very simple examples. Let's say you say, hurry up, and we are getting late. And you're saying this to your partner, or you say this to your child. They could just turn back and say, stop nagging, because in that moment, what they hear is not the importance of the event or the place that you need to get to. What they are hearing is you being critical. TA helps us understand patterns like this. Or let's say at work, you give a suggestion, but your boss completely cuts you off and you feel dismissed because of that. Well, you could have come from a place of saying something really positive and important, but your boss could have looked at that point as something coming from a person who is either critical or trying to act too smart, or you could have chosen the wrong time to place that idea. Transactional analysis will help you understand all of these things. Now, in that scheme of things, let's pick up the second theme for today, which is transactional analysis is hence, because of the background that I explained, a very practical psychology for everyday life. The creator of transactional analysis was Dr. Eric Berne. In fact, he is the creator. Let me correct myself. The transactional analysis was created by Dr. Eric Berne, and this started in late 1850s. And though he's not amongst us, the way he developed the subject, he's left us with a legacy of tons and tons of information, and contemporaries and students that he trained. People like Ian Stewart, people like Petrushka Clarkson, people like Thomas Harris. These are some very prominent names who have studied with him, along with him, and explored and created this subject. Dr. Byrne himself has done phenomenal amount of writing in the subject, and you must explore some of his original texts and original papers. One of the most famous books that he wrote was Games People Play, and that book brought TA to life for a lot of people. Now, the way Dr. Byrne created transactional analysis, it's a very simple and structured way to understand our personality. It explains how people think, feel, and behave in consistent patterns and where these patterns are coming from. Transactional analysis also introduces some very simple yet very deep and elegant concepts like transactions, which are fundamentally the basis of all communication, the way we look at it in TA. And the way we address the transactions and the concept of personality and the concept of interactions further helps it to have applications in deep therapy work, or in counseling to solve everyday issues, or in business, parenting, education, etc. So let's take a very small example. A therapist could use transactional analysis to help someone break a pattern of negative self-talk and demeaning oneself, because of which this individual is constantly depressed and not able to move forward. On the other hand, a teacher could use TA to engage with the students in such a way that he or she is not only able to get the attention of the child, but also have far less conflicts when developing the child in a way that is academically relevant and in an all-round way. That's the way TA impacts us. Further on, the third theme that I want to explore with you is why TA really matters, because TA is a tool to improve our relationships and self-awareness. And through improving our relationships and self-awareness, it is able to help us improve our demeanor, our actions, our choices. Fundamentally, it helps us improve our decisions significantly. And you know what happens when it improves our decisions. We will work better with autonomy. We work with a lot more of spontaneity, in the words of Dr. Byrne. And that's why learning TA can help us understand why we react in certain ways, the way our language has a lot of hidden patterns in it, why we push our buttons and others' buttons in certain ways, or others can push our buttons and their own buttons in certain way. It also helps us understand how empathy can be built, how relatability can be built, how things around us can be a lot more meaningful. So for example, a couple could fight far less because they now understand transactional analysis and the way their language patterns and communication patterns are impacting each other. Or a manager could reduce conflicts significantly by being in an adult ego state, as we would say in TA, and also not using his or her critical parent, or not appealing, let's say, to what we call a rebel inside the child of the other person. So the rebellious child, right? So the way to use TA and the timing to use TA is pretty much all the time. And that's the power of learning transactional analysis, that it becomes a part and parcel of everything that we are doing. Every interaction that we have with ourselves and with others is important, and that's what TA helps us to work better with. It helps us with parenting, it helps us with having conversations in the family, it helps us with our intimacy, our spontaneity. In fact, the very autonomy that we gain by working with TA and the concepts will help us do our meetings, feedbacks, teamworks. It'll help with concepts like self-doubt, motivation. Our inner critique can be calmed with it. It'll also help us understand why our friends behave in certain ways, why certain challenges happen only at certain points in time, why at times we plan vacations but they are not able to go well. So much of it. including if some of you are not able to study or complete things or not focus on things or leave things halfway, it can help you with all of these things. So TA is very powerful, and one of the core exposures that it gives you is to a language of psychology through exploration of phenomena like the ego states. The core model of TA is the PAC model, as we refer to it in transactional analysis, or the parent adult child model, or it's also called the 3 ego states model. The parent recording is what we receive fundamentally from parent and parent-like characters who have been responsible for us as we were growing up. And these are a combination of values, rules, authority, criticism, or critical habits, or nurturing habits. And we will explore more of this as we go along and we get into deeper aspects of TA application in my later videos. The adult ego state is a rational, data-based and in-the-moment ego state which develops over a period of time in life. It's not present when we are born. We are born with a child ego state and we get the parental recordings, and over a period of time the adult ego state emerges. The child ego state, on the other hand, is how a natural child is and then the child feels in this world. So it contains the feelings of joy, creativity, rebellion, fear, and pretty much all the things that you will see a child who's natural or a child who's adapted to instructions of the parents or educational institutions, etc., and a child which is rebelling to all the systems around. So all of this TA will help us understand. Now, when we understand TA, you will get to understand why when your parents said, you must follow rules, that played a huge part. And your response to that played a huge part. Or when the child said, I don't care, I will do what I want, why that played a part. Or when a child said, yes, mama, I will listen to what you're saying. All of this TA will help us understand how it shaped us and who we became. Now, the next thing that we need to understand is, as we understand things like ego states over a period of time, TA helps us understand how to decode our communication patterns. It helps us understand how certain things coming from one ego state will be more relevant to say as compared to another. Or if another person is listening to us from one ego state as compared to others, how it can create what is called a matched conversation or a crossed conversation. So we will get into the exact terminology of this as we progress into deeper videos. But for example, an adult could say, what time is the meeting? Another person who's also in the adult ego state could reply, 3 p.m. Whereas one person could say, hey, what time is the meeting? The other person who's not in the adult ego state but in the critical parent ego state could reply saying, how come you don't remember? I told you so many times. You see the difference. Or somebody who's in a child ego state could respond by saying, oh my God, I was actually depending on you to remember this. So these are the different kinds of language patterns which we can understand, and what then is the implication of these things in our life. As you do this, you will understand that TA can help us bring small shifts and big impact. The question is, how much can you change? You can pretty much change as much as you put an effort into. And that's what TA helps us understand. Because TA says that we are all fundamentally born okay. Or as Eric Berne would say, we are all born princes and princesses. It's the world and the garbage that it piles on us that makes us into orgs and frogs. So, can we change? Yes, because TA says we are all okay, we are born okay, we can all think, we can decide, and it's through our decisions that we can change and become who we are. So we cannot change others, but we can definitely change the way they look at us. And when that changes the way they are with us, their ego states, those can change. So choosing an adult response to somebody can be calming. Choosing a nurturing parent response can be calming. In a certain setting, choosing a natural child response can be very creative and useful. All of this can help us build trust and have much lesser drama in our relationships. So fundamentally, it could help you understand that why instead of yelling at a child, you could pause and sit down with the child and just be silent. Or when a partner is sulking, why your calmness could mean one thing at a certain point in time, at another point in time, it's not calmness, but action that the partner is requiring. TA will help you understand all of these things. So as you learn TA and as you work with TA, as you read more books or experience or work with a teacher, you'll understand that there are a lot of real life applications of TA. Many of those I have spoken about in just this introductory video, and we will keep on exploring this as we go deeper. But as we go from theory to daily practice, you will see it can help you with power struggles, it can help you with clearer communication, lesser drama. TA can help you with having focused decisions, pinpointed decisions, much less stress in life. It can help you go deeper, build trust, have more openness, be a deeper, meaningful individual. In fact, it can help you significantly with your spiritual growth. It can change and help you become more practical, viable as a human being. It can definitely help you do things, consulting, business, your profession, whatever it is, be a better student, be a better teacher. So it's phenomenal the way TA can be applied. So a parent who's avoiding a shouting match, that itself is a great use, or a couple who's able to avoid a divorce because they understand TA. These are all real life examples that I have personally seen in my own work. So you can expect real life results, and the payoffs of using TA, like I said, in many occasions can be anything from as simple as lesser conflict and more cooperation to much stronger boundaries, empathy, greater self-awareness, etc. The way we say it is, you can live as I am okay, you are okay in life. So whether it is your family dinner that you are at, or you are talking to somebody, you could avoid anything from stress to judgments that you or others would place on you. Fundamentally, this is a great tool, and it's a tool for growth. Now, I've heard this, that if you learn something as powerful as this, won't you end up judging people? Well, TA is not for judgment. TA is a growth tool. And the process of learning TA, the philosophy and the ethos of learning TA is such that you will learn to control those instincts to judge others. So that also is a part of the process. When change happens, real change happens when you learn and get to autonomy, intimacy, spontaneity, etc. Those shifts in itself will take care of the edgy side of all of us as human beings. So on that note, I welcome you to explore TA. And whether you want to become a better partner or a better human being, all the way to being a better teacher or a better leader or a better parent, TA has answers for you. I will see you soon with another concept and a deeper exploration of one of the key concepts of TA. Till then, do explore, and like I said, pick up one of the basic and good books of TA, like the one that I showed you earlier today, which is TA Today by Ian Stewart, or you could pick up I Am Okay, You Are Okay by Thomas Harris. These will all be wonderful explorations. See you soon.